Hey, what's up? This is Dan Ward, Ward Wrestling Live, actually with SE Wrestle, as you can see up above me there. He's the good-looking guy over that shoulder. Yep. And
Yeah.
really doesn't need much of an introduction. I mean, if you're in the Southeast or most of the country, you've seen him, but specifically in the Southeast. And he was, if you don't know, he coached high school, he wrestled, and now he's been all around the Southeast doing his media production. He's got shows all the time on, just interviewed all the state wrestlers. But we're going to do a Tuesday weekly show to bring everything to you around the Southeast. And it's no secret, I never wrestled, but I fell in love with this about years ago when my son was wrestling. And so I've gained some knowledge over the years, but I'll probably lean on him a lot on the Tuesdays. But we'll have fun and hopefully we can get you guys all your news. Jason,
Yeah.
what's up,
You,
man?
you burst onto the scene, dude. Like, I mean, you came from 0 to 60 in like no time at all. Next thing I know, this person starts a video podcast and then he's got Adeline Gray. I'm like, what? No, what? What? How does that happen?
Yeah, so uh, it was it was interesting. It's been a hell of a run, and I think you saw that I got to experience Olympic trials this weekend, and this was I think I texted Zach Cook that this was like Christmas morning, and he goes, "Except better," and I was like, "Yeah, except better," and just to be in the room with and watching these guys. I think you saw in my blog, I put a little thing of like how I where I came from, right, and just kind of getting into this, and then to sitting there mat side watching Jaden Cox retire, watching Jordan Burroughs wrestle, watching Adeline Gray, Sarah Hildebrand, Forrest Molinar, Mark Hall. I mean, I can keep going, right? Uh, Adeline Gray and the new generation of Amit and Kennedy and
Mm.
Kyle Dagan, David, and I was like, holy shit, for a lack of a better word, right? Like I am, I'm sitting here, I'm sitting here watching this. So, like when it might have been you that I was texting last night or someone else, and I think I said there were times where like the photographer next to me would say, "Hey, did you get that shot?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, I started watching the match," and he's like, "Yeah, that happens." I'm like, damn.
Well, I mean, it even happens at a lower level. I'm sure it happens a ton
Yeah.
at that level. You know, how, you shot lots of different places, right?
Yeah.
Besides the level of competition and the raised platform and that sort of thing, was it really what I mean, was it really significantly different, except that they're just icons that are competing against one another?
Well, obviously, the level of wrestling is different than when
Yeah,
we go to like ABC High School on a Saturday, right?
yeah, right.
Where you might see a high level wrestling match in the finals with two of our state's top kids, but um, obviously the level here is incredible. So you're going to get some cool shots, right? And the
Yeah.
wrestling's happening. The lighting was tremendous because not only you're not just dealing with gym lights, right? They've got
Hmm.
professional spotlights on the mats. They've got
Right. So
obviously
that's what I
you
was.
get the flickers.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of referring to. Is that from a photographer's perspective, right? The mats are black and white. The lighting seemed like it was super good. That you had four mats going on. You were right there. I don't know that there's a much better setup.
And all the same color mats, right? Because
Right.
we go to
Right.
a high school, and you can have a purple mat, a green mat, an orange mat, and a white mat. And obviously, all the pictures you
And the
take on the
worst
white
yellow
mat,
mat in the world.
yeah, all on all the white mats, the pictures look beautiful, or the black mat, the picture looks beautiful, but everything else kind of got to figure out. Now you do because they're doing lighting and stuff. You get the flickers. So like if I let's say I took two pictures of the same person back to back and I showed it to you on my camera, you'd kind of see the LED difference. Um, but for the most part, I mean, it was cool. Yeah, obviously you have to sit. I'm not used to having to. You have to sit in your chair. The chair is at and you're here, right? So you have
Mm-hmm.
to lean up or here. So you do get a lot of like the edges and stuff like that. So there is a little more kind of editing to it because you don't want to. A lot of times, so for example, if this is your box, and the picture may look like this a little bit because, you know, the way
Mm.
your mat side, you're looking at angles and the mats are right there. So um, that can happen. And you just obviously you just put the cropping tool on and straighten it and then
Yeah,
do
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
color
Well,
and things like that. But
and we're used to to at least dealing with that somewhat because in Fargo, you know, you've got, you know,
yeah,
um the mat up on the podium where I'm
but it,
on a
yeah,
stage, you know, and that sort
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
So
But the skill level back to, I mean, the skill level is just amazing. Like everybody's down blocking, everybody's head blocking, everybody's pulling their leg back. Like the
mhm.
basics at a Superman level, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Tell me about the environment.
wow. So obviously, if you know wrestling, you know Penn State fans are loud and it's Penn State versus the world type deal. And they're obviously if it's not news that there was a group of the loudest that were kind of attacking Burrows, and that that was sad to see. Obviously, I understand the whole thing. Well, he said he was going to attack a knee or something like that, and and so it was kind of sad to see some of the things that were yelled at him. I understand yelling "boo." I understand yelling "hey, you suck," or I understand like the phenology, if that's going to be my black book term, of what you scream, right?
Right.
But profanities and things that kind of attack character, and I think that's probably not something that you should do. And for the most part, I think all the fans are good people, right? But I think you do get a group of rowdy, or maybe the liquor gets involved, and they tend to maybe say things that when they wake up in the morning, they're like, "Shit, man, I wish I
Somebody
maybe I
woke
shouldn't
up
have
in the
had that
morning and
last
got and pulled
shot."
up Twitter and saw and saw their
Wow,
face.
yeah, that's me. That's me. And obviously the guy's yelling at Burrows, and Burrows looks up at him, and I think everybody's seen the video, and he says, "What have
Yeah.
you done?" Right? Um, that was crazy, but the atmosphere was tremendous. I mean, um, the fans were great. They were loud. They obviously brought the enthusiasm, and even though they are diehard fans, you would talk to like photographers on the side that experienced the COVID Olympic where there was no fans in the building, and they would tell you, I would much rather have this. The energy is just different, right? When you have
Yeah.
fans in the building.
Yeah.
But the biggest moment that I saw, and I so you're not allowed to record unless you're like ABC or you
Right.
have
You can only
permission,
take pictures. You're not allowed to take
right? So
any
for
video.
example, like if I worked for ABC RTC and I was coming in for ABC RTC and I was videoing to promote ABC RTC, I could take video of you walking in. I could take video of the coaches speaking. I could take video of the back room practicing. But if I get caught taking video of the matches, I could get my credentials pulled. Um, so I never took my chances. But now, when there's nobody on the mat, and there's nothing going on, you can record, you can do a video or record,
Hmm.
that's fine, right?
Hmm.
Um, or in the back when you saw where I recorded athletes or record them walking
Right. The
back to the huddle.
interviews. Hmm.
That's all legal. And not to say, so obviously you've seen videos out there that people are doing. Now, some of that came from the fans, and the fans can do whatever they want. But if you're given a credential, you
Obviously.
just got, yeah. You just got to respect that. So you're only taking pictures, but uh, when Aaron Brooks was being announced to come out, not not the first match. So the first match he comes out, he shocks the world, and he wins that first match against David Taylor, right? And
Hmm.
obviously the place erupts, and that's crazy. It was just an eruption. It was insane. And then the second time is now the finals. So you're in the single mat, and the lights are dark, and they're playing his song, whatever song he chooses. It's coming out. It's blasting, and you look around, and it looked like a concert. They were going crazy, and everybody had their flashlight from their phone, and they were doing that,
Hmm.
and it was just insane. That was a moment that I'll never forget. Another moment is uh, Jaden Cox retiring,
Yeah.
and I was mat side for that. The crowd was tremendous. They all standing ovation. They all gave him his moment. And then the Mark Hall thing was kind of weird. Now it was kind of a delayed reaction because the fans then realized it and then went into a roar, and then we all looked over because he got off the mat
And
and
he
he
sat down on
slid
the edge, right?
yeah, and then he just kind of threw his shoes, left his shoes there, and got up crying and walked off. And I saw it from a distance, and that's when you did that. And that's, I saw like I think Pat Mineo posted something like, "Man, that's a shame that nobody got a picture of his shoes. Shame on people." But it was very difficult to do that because he didn't do it the traditional way, right? Like he didn't
Mm-hmm.
do it where
In the center of the mat and that sort of thing.
right where somebody could have ran over there, or somebody could have got it, or I'm sure there was photographers over there because he's Mark Hall. But they were very respectful to those athletes. They were when Adeline Gray lost to Kennedy Blades in
Mm-hmm.
the second match, and she stood up there and she waved everybody. They gave her a fantastic ovation, right? So,
Because she
the
wasn't wrestling a Penn State wrestler.
right. Obviously, yeah. That could have been true too. So that was tremendous. But yeah, I mean, then to see the high school kids that were wrestling at that level. I mean,
Yeah,
the
that
the
was
the way.
impressive.
I mean, Jackson Forrest wrestled Thomas Gilman really, really well. I mean, I was sitting there. I mean, it was. I mean, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I think he was one takedown away from tying it up. Um, so watching him
Yeah.
and watching, was it Max Brady or not Max Brady? That's a
No,
Florida kid.
that's Florida kid. Luke
Um,
Lillidahl,
Luke Lillendahl, and then the high school kid
Ladarian
that beat
Lockett.
Jax, the kid that beat Jax in the
Oh, Marcus
in
Blaze.
Marcus Blaze. Yeah, wow,
Yeah.
what a match that was. Those two. I think we're going to see plenty of those two over the next
Yeah. Yeah.
umpteen years.
The
But
question
yeah,
you
I
have
mean,
to
just the overall experience was just insane.
the question you have to ask yourself is, I wonder if Jax, because I think Jax is only the one who's not a senior. I think the others are seniors. And the next time Jax comes up, like next time Olympic trials will come up, Jax might be like maybe like out of his first year of college or right at his first year of
Yeah,
college.
I mean, he could
And
essentially be a redshirt freshman, right?
well, right. So then the question is he do the Henry Cejudo kind of path where he doesn't go to college because he thinks he can win a gold medal, and why spend that year in college when I could be going
Yeah,
directly to the Olympics? I mean,
right.
that's all way in the future, but that's the first thing I was
Yeah,
thinking of is he
I
was
think
young
one
enough.
thing and one thing I saw from the distance that was now I'm assuming this is what Jody Strittmatter told Jax Forrest. I did not hear it. I'm one mat over and across the mat, right? So if he gets off of mat three, I'm on mat two, but I'm on the opposite side, and
Mhm.
he loses that match to Blaze, and he gets off and he takes his things off and he walks and he's walking by the stands, and there's an area of the stands where all the little kids would come down and they'd hold their singlets and their shirts and their folders and they'd want
Yeah, yeah,
autographs.
yeah. Yeah.
So as he, he obviously just lost. So his mindset, he's just thinking, okay, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? I'm sure that's what's going through his head. And he walks by and you see Jody Strittmatter go over and put his arm around him and say something to him and then walk him back to that area of the stands and stand there and watch him sign autographs for these young kids. So I'm guessing that the conversation had to be like, hey, this is something you need to do, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean,
right.
who knows? I mean,
Which is cool. And no fault to Jax Forrest. He wasn't think he stopped for kids all the time. He stopped and did interviews. He held himself really. But I think his mindset was just going by. And obviously Jody Strittmatter is Jody Strittmatter, and he's been around a long time, and he's raising these kids the right way and coaching the right way. And he probably saw that happening and went over, and that was a coaching moment, right? Hey, I know you lost it. I'm assuming because he put his arm around him and then he turned him around and he brought him
yeah.
right over to that spot, and probably it was just a coaching moment, right? Hey, this is something that you got to do, win or lose. You got to give back to the sport. I could be totally incorrect, but
Your my favorite clip that you pulled from the weekend was your conversation with Trent Hidley. Because for me, Trent, I mean, lots of them actually said it, but Trent was very eloquent in the way that he said it, in that And if you haven't seen the clip, and I don't know if Dan can pull it in to show.
Hey, World Wrestling Live. I'm here with Trent. What does it mean to you to wrestle at the Olympic trials?
Oh man, it's everything. This is probably the best tournament I've ever been a part of. You know, you look around the brackets and the people that are here. It's kind of surreal a little bit, but I think it's a testament of the work I've put in and the sacrifice I've made just to get here. And anyone that enters into this tournament is already elite and a champion. So to be able to compete against guys like that, it's what the sport is all about. It's why I do it. So I'm really grateful for that.
Basically said, it's such a great honor. Like this is the best tournament I've ever been a part of. I am so excited to be here. Yeah, he didn't look. Trent wants to win as much as anyone else wants to win, but I think he understood the situation and how he's so proud of where he has kind of gotten to and where he's kind of on the trajectory to get to in the future. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I just thought it was awesome.
It was great. Speaking of awesome, that was Rutherford, right?
Yeah, that was pretty straightforward. Might be pretty similar to his wrestling, honestly.
Yeah. That was a great interview. When I got to, first of all, not everybody stops, right? Understandably so. The same thing, as you know, when we would go to interview the kids before the state finals, and some of them would refuse an interview till afterwards because of whatever superstition or whatever they had. So there was kind of a hallway, and they all walk in and out of that same hallway, and there's a barrier. So media can go through one side and they go through the other, right? But the barrier comes up to like your waist, so you can stand there.
My chin,
if they stop,
yeah,
your chin, my chest up here. But you could stop and you can ask him, hey, you want to stop and interview? Like I'm sure after Spencer Lee won, he did some. I was back there after the first win of the 3, and he wouldn't stop because I understand the mindset. And I was able to get a few, and ask them kind of what it meant to wrestle there. And I just thought little because everybody. So yeah, speaking of everybody wants to talk about everything else, right? And I just want a simple question. I just want the kids and the public, the kids that are coming up to see what it means for a wrestler to get to this level, and still the kid inside them saying, "Wow, I can't believe I'm here!" Right? So yeah, fast forward to Carter Starochi. I went back there and there's a bunch of crowd. There's a crowd around them, and they're interviewing him. And there's this one guy. And he seemed to be at every interview, right? He had one camera this way, one camera this way. And these guys are asking great questions. And obviously they're a little antagonistic because they want to get stuff for
that clicky.
A little clickbait, right? So
yeah,
everything is bringing up Jordan Burroughs. Everything is, would you have spit in his face? Would you have done this? Would you have done that? And they're trying to get him to talk. Well, would you have attacked a leg? Would you? So they're all doing that shit. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care, right? So obviously I finally get his attention, and I ask him the question, and his response was pretty, I didn't expect it, where he said, it really doesn't mean much to me. I'm not here to participate. I'm here to win. So if I'm not winning or in Paris, something to that extent, he said, so it kind of threw me off. Now, yes, obviously that comes off a little arrogant, or that comes off a little immature, right? And that comes
right.
The one thing I would say is he stopped for every interview. He spoke to everybody who wanted to speak to him. He signed autographs with kids. He carried himself pretty stand-up-ish throughout the whole thing. I saw him during weigh-in. So
do you think he got baited into some of his responses?
For sure. I think he understands that it sells. I think he understands that.
Right.
That he's stirring up. I mean, look what we saw. Look at to a different sport, boxing. Look at the transformation Ryan Garcia's made, where now obviously Starochi's not to that craziness of a level, but I think these athletes are understanding that if you get into something like that, you're going to get some attention on you, and that's going to kind of stir the pot a little bit, and you're probably going to get some opportunities because of it, right? Obviously, he can wrestle. Obviously, he's going to get opportunities when he's healthy because he is Carter Starochi. But I think also getting into this with Jordan Burroughs.
It feels very unfortunate, It feels very unfortunate that is where we are. And certainly society and and everything else plays, and social media plays a huge role
Yeah.
in that situation. It seems unfortunate. But honestly, I mean, as a 20-something-year-old, I was an idiot too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
be honest. I get the mindset of I want to be here and that sort of thing. I'm hopeful, as I wrote in my post underneath your Instagram thing, that
Yeah.
you'll look back and you will, or as you get older, and you will sit there and you go, I probably should have said that differently. I
I
probably
said
should have
that.
handled that a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And my perspective now has changed. And it's okay for everybody to evolve and change in their way of looking at it, because it is a phenomenal accomplishment to even compete there. So enjoy
Yeah.
that accomplishment. That's
Right,
kind of the
right.
thing.
Yeah,
Enjoy
you're the
that.
1% of you're the 1%. And I was talking about that with Enoch right before you. And because I saw him there and he was like, man, I couldn't believe you were right next to me when I was coaching. And it was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, listen, we don't see anybody sharing clips of the police officer that's at the PAL that gets off a midnight shift to still go help the kids and give
I
back.
know.
We
It's
see the
unfortunate.
clip of the police officer that's in a mess, right?
Right.
So that's what sells, and I think coming up, probably in these marketing classes and stuff, they're telling them you got to have a little bit of fire, I guess. So yeah, so I think there's a lot of that behind it, because I only got to say hi and talk to him for a minute, and he seemed okay, but he seemed like a good dude to me. And I know there's obviously I know some of the kids that he surrounds himself with, and they carry themselves pretty well. So like Aaron Brooks, and obviously the some of the families he's around, that they're good kids. That the one brother that coaches up at Davidson, and his
Yeah. Carson. Yeah.
the cars. I mean, they're always around him, and so I'm sure a little bit of it is to spark some interest, and maybe Carter does want to wrestle him before he retires, and this is a way of maybe getting that match. Maybe it's a big time match now. Maybe it's on a Who's Number
Well,
One. Maybe it's on.
I think it's. I mean, I think actually the thing that he ultimately might want to be in MMA, and doing. I mean, like, as much as I hate Conor McGregor, he sells fights, dude. I mean,
Right.
at the end of the day, he gets views, and I don't think we should do it that way. I don't think that that's the way that the
Right.
world should work, but that's the way the world works, and that, whether I
But
like it or
and that's
not,
what
that's just the
people
way
are
it
thinking.
is.
And isn't that what people are thinking? Bo Nickel
Yeah.
and Jordan Burroughs were doing with this whole going back and forth. But again, Bo Nickel's a pretty big dude in comparison to Jordan Burroughs. I mean, at least
Yes.
from the naked eye. I don't know if they've ever been at the same weight or can get to the same weight or can do all that. Maybe it's
I
a
think they might have
catch
been at
weight.
the same weight when Bo Nickel went right past him on his way to a higher weight.
Yeah, when Bo
But
Nickel
that's it.
was in 10th grade, right? But yeah, so I don't that thought that they're going to put a UFC bout together and that's what they're trying to
Nah,
do. I
but
can't see that. Even standing next to each other, you can clearly see that Bo Nickel is he's a big dude.
he is a big dude. All right, hey, so let's move
Yeah,
to the
let's
U.S. Open.
transition. Yeah,
Vegas.
but Vegas, yeah, I mean, so I got credentialed for the U.S. Open. So I was like, I'm going to get credentialed for the U.S. Open. I think it'd be a cool place to go. A lot of Florida kids, a lot of Southeast kids. I'm going to do that. At the same time, I sent in my credentials for the Olympic trials, thinking I'm throwing shit against the wall, right? See if it sticks, right? Why me, right? Well, it's
Yeah.
stuck. So I had to make a decision, right? And my wife's like, there is no decision to make here. Like, you need to go to the Olympic trials. I mean, the resume, the stuff you're going to get, you're going to be able to use for the next 3 years, and any graphics and pictures and interview, you need to do that, right? So I did that, and I'm not going to the U.S. Open, but there's a lot of great kids going over there. I mean, I counted 36 at Florida. I might be off a little bit there. I mean, I'm looking here right now. There's another 6 pages of kids. Now I say 6 pages, but a lot of it, for example, Carter Nolan is on here too for Greco and
Twice.
freestyle.
Yeah.
Mason's on here
Right.
too for Greco and freestyle. So we see a lot of people on there. So I mean, that's 72 from just those 2 states, and then I'm sure if I go up to and you probably know these numbers already because you're better at this than me.
Well,
But
I don't know the actual specific number. I do know
yeah,
that we have fewer U15s than we say we have 17s or 20s, and that sort of thing. It kind of varies. It's what we would expect, kind of the breakdown. Florida and Georgia are bigger states, so they have a tendency to have more kids than, say, some of the other states around. But Tennessee has their handful. South Carolina has their handful. North Carolina has their
how
handful.
about Alabama?
Alabama. Yeah.
I mean, they
Well,
seem like they're really starting to turn a corner, right? I mean, they're five. I mean, 5 pages here. Who's the young lady? I don't see her name on here. Who's the young lady? I think she used to be coached by Geneva Gray when she was in Georgia. Her brother's sick. She always wrestles for her brother.
Evelyn Holmes Smith.
Man, is she still wrestling out of Alabama?
She
Yep,
is.
there she is,
Yep.
right there.
Yep.
115-pound showcase. She's somebody to keep an eye on.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. Evelyn's great, and love always talking to her. Love watching her wrestle, and just want to continue to see her get better and better and better and better. We've now had the opportunity to watch kids, and every. So I've been doing it for a long time. Obviously, I was coaching,
Right.
I wrestled, all those sorts of things, and now I'm more on the media side and that sort of thing. But it is a matter of watching them kind of progress and plateau, and then progress and then plateau. And the question you have to ask yourself, not just Evelyn, but everyone, is when you hit that plateau, who is going to help you break it up so that you can continue to progress and continue to move
And
continually up.
some of that is body growth too, right? Like at least on the boys' side, you see
Yes.
where a kid might grow 6 inches over a summer, and now they have a really tough year
Right.
because
Or they're
they're still learning how to use their body. Now their body, they still think they're 5'2", and now they're 6'1".
right. Well, or they're the youngest in their age grouping. Can you imagine? Look at the U20s. The U20s have a combination of kids who qualified or wrestled a year in NCAA Division I wrestling, right? And you have high school juniors
Yep.
in the same group. So
Yeah, I know.
mean,
CJ's going U20. CJ Torres, and he's just
right.
finishing his junior year, correct?
Yeah. Yes. CJ Torres
So,
is one of the ones that you can make a real Drew Gorman out of Georgia. Jax Forrest, who just wrestled Olympic trials and isn't even a junior in high school, is one of the names at 57 kilos.
so just what the hell, right? I just wrestled the Olympic trials. Let's go do this too.
Yeah. Well, and you look at it, like 57 kilos has Luke Lillidahl, who wrestled at the Olympic trials, Jax Forrest. Then you've got like kids like Mac Mauger, who we saw in Fargo from Idaho, Anthony Knox, Aiden Thomas out of Oklahoma, Cale Lairdson. I mean, 57 kilos and 74 kilos are bangers, man.
Wow.
They are bangers. They're going to be some great matches at those two weights.
So let's get you in trouble. In Florida, who's who's the boy to watch? Who's the girl to watch?
Yeah, so in the state of Florida, I think that's a good question. So a couple of things. There are a couple that stand out to me, and I'll just kind of talk about it from that perspective. And that is, I'm really interested in Brennan Van Hoke and Christopher Minto. They both went away to college. They both competed this past year. They both come back and are now at U20s here. And I am super interested to see their growth from being in a college room, because you know how it is. I mean, Cooper
Haas too, right?
Cooper Haas, leaves Florida, four-timer, unbelievably talented, everything else. And you know what? Honestly, because he went to West Point and because he's in the prep school and he's doing the different things and all these sorts of things, we haven't really seen him compete for a year. I mean, it's been a
Yeah.
long time. We used
Now,
to see him all the
yeah,
time.
not publicly, right? Not publicly, but he's won. I believe he won a tournament. He won an Open or two. Um, he placed at one or two. I'm trying to remember. Um, so he's done some good things in the Open level, which is a kind of a hodgepodge of kids, but he's had to beat some really good kids there. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
but
but we haven't seen him like where, like you're at a D1 duel or you're at a D1 specific
right. Or I mean,
thing.
think about him from last year, right? So before he went to West Point, he didn't go to Fargo for his senior year,
No,
right? He was his last time that I've seen him compete
no,
in
no, he
freestyle.
didn't. He did not go to Fargo. I remember the conversation. It was the one tournament that he wanted to get a stop sign. And obviously, he was always at a weight that you get there and it's just hammered. But he was really upset because he had to go to West Point, and it
Yeah.
happened around the same time. And I remember talking to him and his mom, and he and his dad, obviously. But they were, yeah, he was. It was one tournament that he really wanted.
Well, and that happens to a lot of them is that they don't go after their senior year, right? That a lot of them do not, you know, don't head to Fargo. So when was the last time that somebody wrestled freestyle at this level of a tournament? I mean, I mean maybe it was a year ago at this event. So for me, those are the interesting ones. Is the Florida kids or all the kids, but we're talking. You're more specific
Yeah,
to Florida, right? You asked the question about Florida. Minto, Haas, Van Hoke, they've all had a year in the college room under their belt. I'm really interested in seeing how they do. You got a
well,
CJ Torres
yeah,
who sits in the same weight as Cooper Haas, who sits in the same weight as Gunnar Holland, who sits in the same weight as Georgia kids, Don Bambinelli and Latrell Schaefer. I mean, give me the 74 kilos in the Southeast, man. I'll just sit back and watch the entire. I just watch
oh,
all of them wrestle one another.
74 kilos is going to be awesome. Yeah, I love it. And listen, we got to see CJ and Cooper a few times at the youth level, and that was fun to watch. Um, and and that's always been kind of CJ's carrot, right? During high school, he would go to tournaments to just wrestle. He wanted to wrestle Cooper. He wanted to wrestle Cooper, right? Because that would kind of show where the progression he was making, right? As he
Yeah,
would get closer. And but yeah, we have obviously on the girls' side, we've got Mary Manis is going to be there.
yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
Mary's interesting because Mary, I think, didn't go to women's nationals because she was qualifying for the Greek national team,
yeah,
right?
Greek national team.
So we didn't get to see her compete at women's nationals a few weeks ago.
No, I'm interested to see the young lady, uh, Kiana Bush, who they affectionately call Kiki. She had a really good
Kiki,
year.
yeah.
She's really jumped levels. I like see her. I mean, look at we have. I think you have both buoys, the young buoy and the older buoy are both in there. I'm
Catherine
trying to
Stewart.
Catherine Stewart, man.
And then
I tell you,
Milana Borelli, man.
Borelli.
Borelli is definitely one to watch. It's somebody that
What
I'd be really interested to see.
what a hammer!
Yeah, see them wrestle. It's one of those things that the girls, the girls, they just wrestled. They just had NHSCA's, then they had women's nationals. Now they had a week off, I think, and now they're here. I don't think we get to see nearly the numbers that we've seen at some of the other events that we saw that we saw at the earlier events. So
Yeah, I was thinking through as we were sitting there at the Olympic trials. I was thinking, looking at the girls. I'm like, man, I could see 4 years from now we're sitting here seeing some Southeast girls in that thing. I mean, we've got a ton. Transition. Same question for Georgia. Obviously, Florida, Georgia are right there on the line, and Georgia has definitely grown to where, arguably, you could say they've got the best wrestling in the Southeast. Um, I think I'm affectionate. I'm a Florida guy. You're a Florida guy, so we love
I
our
am a
Florida
Florida guy.
wrestlers, and we are definitely there. but some would
Although I
say
live
that
in Georgia now. I live in
yeah,
Georgia now.
but
So
some would say that, right? Some I've heard people say Georgia has really grown well and come into that. Who are we looking at coming out of that state?
yeah. So again, I'm really interested in the U20s. I've already mentioned some names for the U20s. But honestly, let's jump to, because we can talk about two names, both Florida, Georgia names that I think are the thing to watch. U17 freestyle, 110 kilos. We get Fargo national champ and OW Michael Mako. And in the same weight, we get Fargo national champ Jacob Levy of Georgia,
Wow.
both at 110 kilos in freestyle. That is one that I'm really interested in watching.
I think that's going to be pretty good.
I think that's yeah. I mean, except for Pearson Manville versus Joel Adams pay-per-view U20 or U20 Greco. That's a match I want to watch. I want to watch Mako versus Lee.
Wow. Yeah, the U17. I mean, look at that. At least in the Florida, I'd have to go to Georgia here, but Serrano, Gill, Liam Davis, the young Kuroga, Adias Ortiz. I'm interested to see how he does. Gigletti, DeSena, Charlie DeSena has really been on an uptick, man. He's been doing really well. Zeno Moore, Trey Diggett. Man, yeah, I guess you're looking at this U17. My computer's a little slow, but I mean, how about
Yeah,
Alex Smith
no,
this year?
it's yeah. And Alex is really looks like he's taken his game to the next level since he came over to Lake Highland Prep. So certainly someone to watch. You know, two other names I'm really interested to watch at U17s are Jojo Urachuk out of Tennessee, and who was it? I'm sorry, Jojo Urachuk, and the reason, man, I can't remember who the other name was. I apologize. So the reason I'm really interested in watching JoJo compete, Ryder Wilder. I'm sorry, Ryder Wilder out of Georgia. And the reason I'm interested in those two specifically is this. Okay. Both of them are registered for U17 freestyle. Both of them pretty much had their first ever freestyle tournament a year ago in Fargo. It wasn't their first ever, but they have not been wrestling freestyle very much at all. JoJo takes third in Fargo. Ryder takes second in Fargo. And if that was their beginning, man, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see what progression the two of them have made from last year to this year, if they've been wrestling on freestyle for 12 months.
That's going to be one. Going back to Levy, isn't he going to? Is he going to go to North Carolina?
He is, and if you look at his registration, you'll see that he's registered under the Tar Heel Wrestling Club.
Yeah, and with Enoch there, they've got a hell of a. He just had a kid come one match from in Isons, come one match from being on the national team, and so obviously Greco is a big thing there. It looks like that's what he does.
He's gonna wrestle both Greco and freestyle, and I wrote it in my preview that Jacob doesn't have one of the highest pin ratings. Pin rating, right?
Yeah, well, you can explain it to me.
Okay, well, I'll get to pin rating in a second. He doesn't have one of the highest pin ratings because
I'm guessing it's like a pin percentage to you wrestle to how many pins you get during your wrestling. Oh,
no.
I am a dummy. I tell people that.
No. Actually, this is a new thing. So I think this is actually important to talk about. If for the 17 people who watch this, our conversation,
they're going to learn. They're going to learn
this piece of information.
Yeah.
All right. But Jacob doesn't have a high pin rating because he wrestled freestyle and won last year in Fargo, and they chose not to wrestle Greco. So his pin rating in Greco is much further down or lower than it is in freestyle. And pin rating is basically stands for performance index. And if you think about it like chess. Everybody starts at 1,000. You win, you go up. You lose, you go down. And that's the way it works. And over time, you get different pin ratings based upon wins and losses. It doesn't.
You don't compete a lot. So if you don't compete a lot, then obviously your rating is down.
Your rating is not. Yeah, it's going to fall off over a period of time because it's supposed to be a rating, and that is actually, from what I've heard, will be how they seed the U.S. Open this weekend and how they seed Fargo. It is
okay.
solely
So
based
I
on your pin
believe
rating.
So yeah, I think I read something or I heard something where people were complaining. I forget what tournament going into, and they were complaining about seeding. Like, well, how does this kid, that kid, and somebody said about some rating that they go by, and if you didn't wrestle as much, that's how you get put where you get put. So it must have been what you're talking about.
Yep, and it was designed by a former Georgia coach, Dave Matthews, who now works for USA Wrestling, and it is designed exactly like chess. So
Actually, Dave Matthews was really good too when he used to be in that band.
yeah, he was pretty good in that band.
So he went from there to USA Wrestling.
There to Alexander High School in Georgia, and then to USA Wrestling.
Wow, man, that he fell off pretty. He fell off pretty quickly, right? From the Dave Matthews band. That was pretty
Hey,
good.
man, Alexander High School is a good wrestling program. Don't give
No,
them
no,
grief.
I'm sure. Look.
Oh, I can't see him.
Uh,
Oh,
uh,
wow, that's a
this
big
is
dog, dude.
this is Thor. Oh, you can't see him because we're in the lights. There he is. Thor. Yeah, he's a good boy.
His name is Thor.
Thor. Yes, my kids affectionately named him Thor, like the superhero. Meanwhile, he will bark at you when you come to the door, and then when I open the door, he will run out and lick you.
So my brother-in-law's name is Thor.
His name is Thor, or his dog's name is Thor?
No, his name is Thor.
Oh, does he come with a hammer?
I ask him all the time, "Where's your hammer, dude?"
Yeah, that's awesome. Man,
if he had been a carpenter, it would be awesome.
So I know we still have a few minutes, but I wanted to ask you, we're usually at a bunch of tournaments together. What you and I will be in Fargo in July.
We will.
We'll be there. At least so far, that's what I'm being told, that I'll be there. I mean, I have credentials and I have a place to stay, so I can be there.
My credentials say pending.
I can be there anyway. I'll make a call for you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, I will be there. Are you coming up for Southeast Regionals in Atlanta?
Is it in Atlanta this year?
It's in Atlanta this year.
Yeah. Where was the school that I saw you at last time I went up for that?
That's Southeast Regions?
Wasn't it? No, that was Fargo qualifier, right? When I came.
Oh, you saw me at Ola High School. No. Where did you? You came up to Ola High School. Yeah, it was at Ola High School. Yeah. This one's in Atlanta. It's I think it's at maybe like the World Congress Center or something like that.
Actually, I'm having a brain fart now. But the gentleman that puts on the tournament, he was in the corner with the North Central coaches, coaching the girls there, obviously with Amani being an athlete.
Oh yeah.
Why am I having a brain fart? Cliff
Fretwell.
Cliff, I knew it. He said what's up, and fun to see him coach, man. He's very passionate about that, being in the corner.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he's a great guy. Absolutely great guy. So I'll be there, and then actually I'm going to go up and visit Lucas's tournament this weekend on Sunday.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And will we see you? Are you going to come down for Summer Knockout or anything like that?
Don't know about that yet. I got to come down because I'm doing the interviews for the Florida Wrestling Hall of Fame. Because you're on vacation. I mean, I don't know what.
Yeah, I know. I'm going down to Puerto Rico with my son, so it's going to be cool. I haven't seen him wrestle in person in over a year, so it'll be fun to see him wrestle down in Puerto Rico. He's going to compete in the U20s, and a great experience. Obviously, I'm rooting for him. I'd love to see him go and do big things down there, and it'll be a great experience for him. He's a young 18-year-old, and we have a lot of Florida kids down there. I mean, CJ Torres is sitting finals in the weight class he's going to go. CJ and Claudio and his family are like family to us. CJ and Daniel are close. Obviously, they won't be close at match time because they got to compete. But then after the match, they'll hug it out.
Are they the same weight?
Same weight class. So, but
Okay.
if Daniel can get through the challenge tournament and get to Claudio, it would just be a blessing because we love Claudio and he's been. I got to say, he's just meant a lot. The dad, well, the family, but the dad has just been a huge mentor for my son, helping with when he was, those up and downs you go through freshman year. He's really been able to lean on him, and so if Daniel can get to the finals and we could see both them wrestle, that would just be totally awesome because we obviously love Claudia. We're going to obviously watch that bracket at 74 kilos because we also
Mm-hmm.
love Cooper and we also love Hunter and I mean, you say the names, they're all there, right? Gunner.
Yeah.
Um, so
Um,
it'll be fun to watch
will you see
that.
the
But where,
Solisas down there? Will the Solisas be going to
so
be in that tournament?
Giovanni competed at the first tournament in April. EJ is supposed to be down there, and I'm speaking to 8 o'clock tonight. I've got EJ and Giovanni on. Actually, I'm pre-recording with them. But Dad says he's going to the Fargo qualifier,
Okay.
so he'll be going there, and so I won't see him down there. But I'll be taking plenty of pictures, so I'll get that. But yeah, I ran into Bono this weekend. He and his assistant coach were there, and I told him, yeah, I'm not going to be there this year for your Hall of Fame thing like last year because I'm going to be in Puerto Rico. And he goes, oh, and the assistant coach goes, Dan, I'll be there too. We're going to get something to eat. I'm like, okay. He's got a kid competing at 70 kilograms. 70?
Very cool.
Is that one? Yeah,
John
Julian.
Reeder
So,
was good. Was a good trader.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So they've got a kid going down. So he's going down with them. So that'll be fun. Obviously, Bono can't go because he'll be with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Well, when he
they're
called
busy.
me, I knew you were going to go regardless, most likely, to that event, the Hall of Fame event,
Yeah.
because we were both there last year. I totally dropped the ball last year on those guys. I did those interviews and I was really lost in the process. And then I didn't get any interviews later, but I totally dropped the ball and they probably hate me for it, but that's okay. But when they called me again this year and they told me that, he's like, well, I'll make some calls to get someone. I'm like, you don't have to make any calls. Jason will do it for you. Why not just ask Jason? He's like, that's a great idea. I'm like, perfect. So I put you right in the slot. So boom.
I appreciate
There
it.
you go. There you go.
All
So
right,
you'll
so-
be there. But will we see
so
you
we're
at
gonna-
Spartan Nationals?
I don't know. I don't know what anything looks like after Memorial Day yet, except for Fargo.
Well, let me know what date that is. What date is Atlanta?
May 18th and 19th.
So that's the weekend before our qualifier, correct?
I don't know.
Or our qualifier is May 31st to June 2nd.
For Florida's qualifier?
Yeah.
I'm in Utah, so I won't be there. I know that.
Oh, what do you want to go to Utah for? It's so ugly there. Just kidding.
All right, so hey, we're gonna talk every single week about different things. Is next week's plan to do a recap of the U.S. Open, or are we gonna watch it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to. Well, I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm also going to go on to track and I'll print stuff off as it happens so that I can actually sound like I know what I'm talking about. I just do that with Brant Parsons. Remember we used to do the weekly update during the season when he first transitioned to Cabra, and I would be like, man, I don't want to sound like an idiot. Like, I mean, I would be out there with a lot of I'd be out there at a lot of these tournaments because I would be there, but
you're busy.
Right, but so I didn't want to sound like a dumbass. So I would go on to track wrestling like 2 hours before I knew it was our show, and I would be printing brackets, and then I'd be reading through them real quick. I'd be reading through because all I need, like I'm not like you're pretty much you know this stuff, right? So if I can just know enough to key you
Absolutely.
up,
Right. We're
then
good.
I'm good. So I have to educate myself a little bit though. I can't come in and just be a total dumbass, be like, oh, can you talk about this? I don't know. So I have to obviously watch and learn and educate myself enough to be like, man, did you see weight class
Such and
57
such.
kilograms? Did you see that guy? And you'd be like, oh, yeah, but did you also see Joey and Johnny and Davey? And then you'll just go on your thing and I'll be like, oh, yeah, those are great ones too, right? And then we're in, right? So yeah, but every Tuesday we're going to be on this, and it's going to be fun, and we're going to bring it to you,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't wait. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a blast. Just even just talking about whatever as it really as it relates to wrestling. And you know what? You and I will be in lots of different places, so we'll have different kind of experiences. Hopefully, we'll be able to share where our galleries and pictures are, and people can go and find those and that sort of
For
thing.
sure.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I'm looking forward to having those interviews. Maybe I
Yeah,
can
and
take
I'm
a couple
excited.
clips and put those up.
Yeah, I'm excited for Fargo. I'm excited for everything we got coming up. So it's going to be fun. And listen, uh, I haven't seen, like I said, I haven't seen Daniel wrestle. I tell people all the time, and I know I got to jump off to get onto Zach, but
You do.
um, but if you have kids in high school, man, enjoy the moments because I would give anything to get 6 more minutes of him in a high school gym. I mean, I may cry telling you this, right? I'm just like, man. And I used
So
to have
everybody
so much
watching, Dan's the
anxiety.
sensitive
Yeah.
one. Dan's
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sensitive one.
Yeah. 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 I am, but I was like, man, I used to get anxiety and I'd be like, I don't want to go. I'm staying home. I'd rather just tell me about it because I'm going to throw up the whole day. And mom would be like, don't be a dumbass. You have to go. Right. And now I realize, so Zachary's starting to wrestle and he's just okay. He's not as passionate about it as the other one, but I want to go there. And I don't really have the anxiety. I go, wow, I'm just going to enjoy this match because I don't know if it's the
Absolutely.
last one I'll see him wrestle. Right. So I'm hoping that I've learned a little bit. And when I go down to Puerto Rico, I'm just going to enjoy the moment. Right.
I
And
hope
watch
so.
him wrestle.
Because you know
So,
what? There's no reason to get all wrapped up around it. It's going to play out the way it's going to play out. So
yep. All right, man. Well, until we
I
meet
appreciate
again,
it.
this was fun. I think we do this well.
All right, man. You take care, and we'll be in touch.